Thank you so much for joining another episode, or maybe it's your first episode. Say hi, let me know if you're joining for the first time. It's 2026 and I've learned so much. I know that everyone has been going through a lot, whether it's a lot of good, bad, in between. It's a lot. The world has really evolved in so many ways, and what I've learned is everything comes back to the very basics of of foundational things. And I have 5 points that I want to share, that I want to talk about today, that has really helped me to ground myself and find a lot more joy and peace in what I do and the things that I don't do. And I hope that you can find the same. So I'm going to start by listing them off, and then maybe we'll go into a little bit deeper discussion about it all. Yeah. So the first thing is, it is what it is, not what it looks like. And this has been really helpful for me because I've done a lot of growing and learning in the digital space, right? I love social media. I use it to connect with my friends and my family and a lot of people who I haven't yet met in person. And I still love them dearly, regardless of having ever met them. But it is what it is, not what it looks like. One really crucial thing, especially with the way that our world is evolving digitally. The second thing is trust. Trust in ourselves, in the world, in the universe, that everything's going to come together the way that it's supposed to. Very quick snippet of trust. The third thing is everything is about how you feel about it, and then just emotional regulation all around that. So that's another whole thing that everybody needs. It's very crucial. I wish we learned about it in school. It should be a core subject. The fourth thing, the way that social is shifting. I really, I feel like this, it can be brought into like the conversation of AI, how technology has shifted, how it's grown, how it's changed. And then the fifth thing is we are all humans. Excuse me while I cleanse my throat. All of these little pieces, these 5 elements, work together and blend together really well. And I'm sure there's one easy way to put them together so that we can view it holistically. But I want to break them all down and have a conversation about each aspect. And the first one being, it is what it is, not what it looks like. When I first heard this was actually from Miss Melanie Ann Later. She is in the coaching space, the energetic space. It's, she does so many things and supports so many people, specifically women in their businesses and in life too, generally, because I mean, you don't have to have a business to want to just be happy and to thrive in life. And when she mentioned this, I want to say it was during one of her sessions. Oh my gosh, I can't think of what it was called. But when she brought that up, like it was a really simple idea, but for me, it was so profound. It was kind of like all of this thought that I put into everything else that I put into the world, how I present myself, how I do anything. 'Cause a lot of it came with so much thought. It's like, am I doing this right? How are people going to perceive me? How do I want to package this? And does this look good? Does this look fair? Does this look polished enough? Is it presentable? And so much thought goes into just being and living. And when I learned this from her, I was just like, I can just do it. I can just share. I can just be me. And it is what it is. It doesn't matter what it looks like or what it's supposed to be. Like if I am just me, if I just share this as it is because it's the truth, I can't fault myself for it. Nobody else can fault me for it. It is me. It's what I'm doing, how I'm living. It's just the truth. And so if I just leave it to that pure and simple truth, just what it is, there's no convolution process around it. And it's beautiful. And that just keeps things so simple. Now to my second point, which I feel like integrates into that first point really well, is the trust. If I trust myself enough, I know that what it is fine and I can love it and it's beautiful and I can put it out into the world. I can receive it really well. I can accept it for what it is. That trust in knowing that no matter what's going to happen next, I'll be okay. That helps me to stay present. That helps me to really enjoy where I'm at now. And for me these days, it's really enjoying time with my family. It's time doing the things that I love, being more creative, doing more art, and really posting on social media and doing all of these things that I have fought with for so long. Like, what kind of niche do I fall into? What am I going to choose as my thing? Well, I'm a human. I am a dynamic human, as are you. And so, if that's the case, I don't want to limit myself to this one thing or this one category, or I don't need to be this one small, steady staircase of climbing one color or one item or one specialty. Like, I want to share what I want to share, and I want to do what I want to do. And that should be okay. And it is. Once I settled in on, I trust the process, I trust me, I trust that everything that's happening and that everything that's coming is meant to be. It's like everything else goes out the window. I don't have to overthink. I don't have to overproduce. I don't have to overdo anything. And it can just be free to be as it is because I trust the process. I trust the universe. I trust me. I trust, whatever it is that you trust and whatever that you go to find your faith and your strength. That process works when you trust yourself. You go with the next right thing and you don't have to overthink. And even when you're inundated with a million ideas, it's like I can have all of them. I can decide what's really good for me in this moment and then know that I'll make a shift whenever a shift is needed and it will evolve as it should. So the trust process is in all aspects, not just in business, but in parenting, in relationships, in communication, in schooling, all of it. Like, I trust that I'll handle this properly. And if it's not handled properly, it'll be responded to, and then I'll handle it better that next time around. I'll be able to review and reflect, and I trust that I can do it right this time and make any changes necessary the next time. Trust. What does it say for you? Like, how do you trust yourself, right? And if you do, where did you learn to build that trust? I don't feel like that was something that we grew up with. Learning how to trust ourselves, to find our inner voice, and to really discover like what's right for us versus what is being said all around us, like the right thing to do, the right thing to say, the right way to act, the right way to behave, how to look here, how to do this, how to go there. The destination was set for us. So if you are traveling down a road with a destination that was set for or from or by somebody else, but that destination wasn't meant for you, you're going to have a really hard time getting there because you're not being true to yourself. So every single step that you take, there's going to be a bit of a struggle and you're going to find it that much harder because it's not right for you. It's not meant for you. It wasn't what you chose. And as humans, it's like the freedom in being able to choose what we want for ourselves and the autonomy of this was my choice. This was what I wanted helps to lead us to where we want to go. And that trust process is just essential to finding happiness and the groundedness and in being able to make the next move, whatever that next move is. Something happens with your child at school and like, how do I handle this from here? A client faces a problem. How do I handle this from here? I want to take my business to the next level, but there are so many choices. I'm told so many things. Where do I go from here? Those things all land in trust. Like if you trust yourself, if you trust the process, if you know that everything will work out, then it's okay. Okay, right now, I feel like the next thing is to write an email, an apology, and do the best that you can to correct whatever it is. So trust is just essential in that process of being a better version of yourself and finding more of you going internally and getting what you want out of life. Okay, everything is how you feel about it and emotional regulation. I Emotional regulation. I wish that was a core subject in schools because if we just learned how to regulate the way that we feel around anything that could possibly happen, and knowing that we can handle situations no matter what it is, if we have the strength to be able to face anything that comes at us, that goes back to the trust. It goes back to knowing ourselves internally and starting with ourselves. We would just have better relationships. We'd be better people. We'd live better lives. Everything would just be so much more beautiful and enjoyable and peaceful. And I think, unfortunately, it's not taught often enough how to balance yourself and your emotions and your feelings. And I love that it's becoming more and more common. Emotional regulations, those conversations are happening. So I feel like parents are getting more educated for their children, for themselves, so that they can be emotionally regulated. And that's the example that they set for their children. How leaders can set that example for their followers, their employees, their audience, being able to set an example from a place of emotional regulation, of self regulation, is where it starts. If you yourself don't know how to handle situations or are afraid of the uncertainty around where you're going to go or the things that are going to happen, and you don't know how you're going to handle it, and the worry of being explosive around it, like all of that is a lot. And it's a way for a lot of people to cope. Oh, I'm getting into territory that I actually don't know how to have the words and conversations around. But ultimately, for me, it's like learning more about me, learning more about how to handle myself whenever I'm faced with something that's really hard or something that reminds me of a situation that I wasn't able to face previously or I failed at facing previously. And so, how do I handle those situations? How do I cope in those situations? And have I handled them well? Did I handle them in a way that was best for me? Or did I avoid it altogether? Or did I handle it really badly and I can do better next time around? But being able to learn what suppresses your feelings and your emotions, or what has suppressed your feelings and your emotions, and being able to identify those things and do better every time a situation comes up is how we become better people, is how we are better leaders, is how we can better guide our children to becoming better people and being able to love themselves and be their best selves. And it's just it to me, it makes the world go round. It's sad how many people out there we see not being able to regulate themselves, and they become this person. And you'll hear so many people say, it wasn't me. That's not me. And it's like, why is it not you? Why was it not you? Because you didn't know how to be you in situations where you had to be somebody else. Because you saw it play out on TV. You saw it in a movie. You saw it in the way that your parents behaved. You saw it in the way that your boss treated you. And that was how you learned to reflect it to other relationships. And like, that is a big thing. That's a huge conversation to have with yourself and with the people around you, is where do I want to make a change? Where do I see that I can do better? And how can I do better? And, I can't go on with this conversation without mentioning the fact that I have done so much work on myself, and there's still so much more work to do. But Brene Brown's books, like all of the work that she's done, I've learned so much from her. Energy Rising from Dr. Julia DeGangi, that book I've listened to endless times, and I continue to revisit anytime I feel like I'm in a situation that is out of my control. And it's helped to ground me in figuring out and identifying, like with every single situation, it's just, okay, how do I feel about the situation? That's it. Just how do I feel about it? And that's all that matters. If it's not something that matters to me, or if it's not something that matters to my future or my children, or like if it's not something that's going to make a huge change in my life that I can handle right now, that I can handle gracefully, let's handle it and let's move on. There is nothing in this world that can or should take me down if I know how to be my best self and to be present and handle it in the best way that I can. that's something like there's so many elements and pieces that we can bring together in just emotional regulation in itself. But for us to be better parents, to be better leaders, it's like the emotional regulation is so important because we create space to be able to handle that in others if we expect to have good relationships, whether it's relationships with our spouses, relationships with our children, with our caregivers, with our clients, with other vendors or businesses that we work with. It starts with emotional regulation, knowing that no matter what we face, we are going to be able to handle it with grace and responsibility and leadership. Like all of that is due to working on yourself and knowing how to regulate yourself whenever the unknown pops up, whenever something hard pops up that we used to view as hard. And then this really ties in well with everything else. It's just like at the end of the day, we're all humans. And no matter how life treats us, no matter how things come at us, we are built to survive. And it's 2026. We are meant to thrive. And so, with all of the right tools, with all of the right usage of the things that we've learned, the tools at our disposal, being able to implement, there's no reason why we can't thrive. And that, because of the way that the world has evolved and the way that technology has brought every aspect of people's lives to us, right? Like when we go into the digital landscape and social media, it's like you see all of the best things, but you don't see the ugly and the bad. And sometimes when you do, it gets retracted, it gets taken down, it gets covered up. And it's like that's a part of being human. We all have our flaws. We all have our ugly sides, the sides that we want to hide, the sides that we don't want anyone to see, the sides that we're working on. And it's true for every single one of us, no matter who you look up to, no matter who you idolize, who you are yourself. You have flaws. We all have flaws. And the more that we can give grace, the less that we can judge, the less that we can go into any situation saying, wow, I never would have done that. Or I can't believe he or she did this. With reality and cameras being everywhere all the time, you can't be perfect. You're not going to be able to hold your tone and hold your emotions and angers in every single situation. I've worked on myself relentlessly, but there's not a situation where I can say, oh, I'm absolutely perfect. I never lose it on my children, or I'm absolutely perfect. I never get annoyed at my clients. I'm so perfect. I get everything done in a way that makes me really happy. I handle everything so well. Like that's not the case. You can find me in the park getting upset with my children and raising my voice. That happens and that's gonna happen. It's something that I will continue to work on. It's something that I can do better on every single time. And I have. And I think that's what it comes down to is even me last year. And I think about this often, even the person I was last year was a significantly different person than I am this year, which is to me, it sounds so bizarre because we don't give it enough credit. The amount of change that can happen in a person in a year, a month, a week. And this, it brings back this saying to me, like, where it's like you run into somebody and the whole idea is like, oh my gosh, you've changed so much. And it's presented with a negative connotation, but it's like the whole goal is to change, right? We want to evolve. We want to become better. We want to do better. We want to become better humans and live better lives. And so if that's the case, then I need to change in order to get to my desired goals. That doesn't mean that I change my core behaviors or my core beliefs or my core values. However, if I started without values, if I started without behaviors or beliefs or anything that tied me to who I am as a person, as a core, because I was building that, because I was a child when you knew me, whatever that is, I am more evolved as a human. I've built more and put more around who I am and built my confidence and built my skill set and, evolved as a human because I have children now, or I have a business now, or I have people who I lead and guide now. And I want to be able to share something that is meaningful, more impactful than what I was to be able to share 10, 20 years ago. And that's the goal, is to change and to evolve. And in order to do so, we have to face things that are that are going to challenge our emotions, our behaviors, what we know, and how we feel, how we react to things. And when we do that, you are bare and you're transparent and authentic in how you handle life and those lessons. And if you're doing it bare and you're doing it real, you're going to have times and situations where people are going to look at you with those judgmental lenses to say, well, if it were me. But that's the thing, is it wasn't you. No matter what we see in this world, and I guess it's very specific to people sharing dark and sad and very specific things about people, whether it's a celebrity or a politician or a teacher or your local grocery store associate. These things and these private moments can be shared that then can be taken to ruin their lives. And when I say ruin their lives, if they've built their career on being at this certain level, being in this certain position, they can feel like their lives are ruined when that's taken away from them. So in that moment, it's ruined. It goes back to things can change and we can get back to where we need to be, but then that's a hard lesson to learn. But when we go in with the eyes of judgment because we think we know better, or we would do better if we were in that situation, we don't have the holistic view of everything that happened outside of the picture that we saw or outside of the video clip that was shown. There's just so much more nuance to every single human than just what we see. Again, what's highlighted on social media or a bad clip that was shared about an argument or a big fight that somebody had with somebody else and how they treated them. It doesn't cover all the trauma, all of the everything that this human went through, and then the other human involved, or multiple other humans, or you know, anything that we see. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, it's like view it with grace, view it with self removal, and with that, what I would mean is like it's a piece of content, it's a situation in this moment. It is never a holistic human. We all have our moments. We all have situations in which we handled something really well and we handled something really badly. We have our highs and our lows, and that's what makes us human, is that we're dynamic and we handle things in different ways and different than other people. And I think just what I've learned through everything that I've been through, no matter how bad something gets that I see somebody do, it's like I don't know what they've been through. And I personally cannot pass judgment on a situation or on a person based off of what I see or hear from other people. And, being human, we're humans at the end of the day. And all of that comes back to us just being humans, wanting peace and joy and happiness. And I'm just so grateful for where I'm at and how I'm able to enjoy life. And honestly, if you're listening to this, I feel like you have so much that you can be grateful for as well. And I really hope that you do. I hope you take the time to remind yourselves of how awesome life is and how awesome life can be. And no matter what happens around us, there are still so many stars that we can count on, on multiple fingers and hands, and reflecting on how many wonderful things there are, despite potential bad or low points or things that might come up. So it is what it is, not what it looks like. It just is. Life just is. We place our feelings and our emotions around it. How do we feel about it? Do we trust the process? You know, are we emotionally regulated around the present and how we're facing these situations? I hope that these points have added to your life. Thank you so much for being with me for the last, I don't even know how long because I've re-recorded so many times, but as I continue to explore in this journey and in this process, it'll be fun because it's going to evolve. I have no structure right now, and maybe I will in the future, but there's just so much going on that I want to talk about just for fun. And maybe it's just for me to reflect on my own, or maybe one day hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of people joining me on this conversations, but how do you feel about the world and where you're at? And what does 2026 look like for you? I've been watching a lot of movies, a lot of animal documentaries, and learning about all of that, spending a lot of time with my family, as I mentioned, and creativity. So that'll be what I bring to the podcast, more or less just random conversations, things that don't fall into a specific category because it's just fun to me. And if I'm going to continue doing this, it's got to be fun, right? So please, if you have the time, if you have a moment, let me know what you thought about this conversation, about this episode. If you want to join the conversation, tell me about what 2026 looks like for you, what really stands out, how you're evolving as a human, how you're growing as a mom, a parent, entrepreneur, a creative. I'd love to continue this conversation and this journey with you. If there's something that you want to share in your life that has really helped you to grow and bring more joy into your life, into your business, into your creativity, how you can express your creativity more, all of that is super awesome to me. This is Creating Connections. My name is Ninden, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode where we create more connections in ways to have fun, to be human, and to be creative and express ourselves in all of the best ways possible.